In business, it's important to know how to play the game to win the game. And what we have learned over many years is that in business, when you want to play the game to win the game, it's important for you to understand leadership, processes, and systems. So today, I'm going to spend some time looking at some essential leadership habits that you need to learn, apply, and master, and how to make these essential leadership style a part of your process that you can now systemize. To join me in today's conversation, I have two dynamic personalities to join me on stage. First, I have Clement Frank, and Clement Frank, he is an economist and he is also a leader by profession. And very soon he's going to be releasing his new book, Sound Business Leadership. Welcome, Frank.
Thanks.
I also welcome. I also have Peter Gould Scott, and Peter, he is a theologist by profession, and he is the brain behind Legacy Chronicle Human Growth Program. And what his platform does is focuses a lot on practical steps that can be taken to enhance human development and human performance. Peter, welcome.
Great to be here.
All right. To get to this conversation started, I want to look at some essential leadership habits that one needs to have when you want to play the game to win the game in business. Now, in business, if you want to win, when you want to win, it's very important for you to start thinking about your habits around relationships, because relationships can be your springboard to success when you really understand how to navigate yourself around relationships. And just let me expand on this. Think about two individuals. One individual who's in business and simply is focused on business. But the other individual, he is now focusing on how to do business in a strategic way. Now let's put two names, Tom and Paul. Tom is the hardcore business individual, but Paul, while he's a hardcore, he invests in becoming a social guru. Now, as a social guru, he clearly identifies essential personnel that he wants to build relationship with. So he started to think, yes, I want to build relationship with myself, with my team. So he has a healthy working relationship with his workforce and his team, strategic, tactical, and operational team. But then he also sees the need to build healthy, productive relationship with those even outside of the workforce. He may say, okay, I want to build relationship with my bankers. I want to build relationship with the media houses. I want to build relationship with government entities. I want to build relationship with all of these critical stakeholders. The ability to foster relationships across this ecosystem is what's going to set you up for success. So think about it. You have the hardcore business person who are, Tom, who is doing business. And you have Paul on the other side. Paul's decided, I'm going to take the hardcore, but I'm going to bring some soft skills into it. I'm going to bring some relationship equity into it. Now, I want you to think about this. Who do you think is going to be more successful? Tom, who has all the academic, Tom or Paul, who has all the academic theory, but understand business, but is yet not investing in building healthy, productive relationships in the business ecosystem. Tom, on the other hand, because of the fact that he understands something that perhaps Paul doesn't understand, gets the competitive advantage because of relationships. So when you want to play the game of business to win the game of business, you need to nurture the right leadership skills in relation to relationship building. And this is something that you may have to invest time into. It is something that you may have to invest your talent into. It is something that you may have to invest capital into, because relationship is not something that to be trivialized. You need to see it as being an essential springboard for business success. All right, so I just want to leave these little nuggets for you. And as we go into today's program, I will definitely be giving you some more highlights that you can leverage to really position yourself, position your business to accelerate in your growth. The facts again are showing that those who are able to foster healthy, productive relationship across the ecosystem that I've just spoken about, they're the ones who are most likely to be successful. I think there's a saying, Frank, in business that is not necessarily who you know, but it's who knows you. And I think that the more you invest in the relationship equity, you set the stage to help persons to know you more. And that creates that platform, that environment that you can now leverage to your advantage. So I'm going to pause here for now and just open up the floor so Frank and Peter can share your thoughts on, essential leadership habits that can lead to win-win situations in business. Frank, you want to go? You're mute.
Oh, you hear
I'm
me
not
now?
hearing you. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm hearing you now. Yeah.
Why is it that some people are driven to want to win, while there are others who are just satisfied with the status quo? Complex question? Yes. The answer, in part, is about a person's attitude. So the real question may be, how do we spot the right attitude from the wrong attitude in people? In order for a team to be great, the individuals who make up that team must also be great, and the players on that team must be great together. To play the game to win, we must first develop our core. And when the core is strong and the team is in sync, the game is played to win. So in business, what is required to develop one's core? And what is required to play with the rest of the team? So let me break this down together based on past experience in business and with an objective to be better at spotting the right attitudes in the players. Core is spelled C-O-R-E, and the C in core stands for two words: complain and challenge. You see, winners don't complain, and they are militant about challenging themselves. And if you want to develop your core in business, catch yourself when you feel the urge to complain and get involved in more things within the company that take you out of your comfort zone. In other words, to be strong, you need to swim against the tide. It's only dead fishes that swim with the tide. Living fishes swim against tide. The O in core stands for ownership. Winners take ownerships of tasks. They take the risk that they might fail, and they aren't afraid to do so publicly. We can't expect to be winners if we can't step up the plate and own a task. If you want to develop your core, you need to pay attention to what your company is saying is important to them, and put your hand up the next time the opportunity to do so presents itself. The R in core stands for responsibility. So winners take responsibility for their failures. It's just simply never okay to know that something isn't working, but yet carry on anyways. And it's often been said that deciding what to stop doing is as important as deciding what to start doing. Winners know when they have made a bad call and they intuitively know that the sooner they stop doing that low value thing, the sooner they can move on to doing that high value thing. The E in core stands for excuses. The sooner in one's career that we recognize there are no excuses, the sooner we realize the only thing that truly matters in business, like in sports, is your performance. Winners never make excuses for the things that go wrong because they typically fear failure more than anything else. And winners have a tendency to perform even better when under pressure. So we've established that winners never complain, they always challenge themselves at first own projects, they take responsibility for their actions and never ever try to weasel out of their responsibilities by making excuses. And so how do winners take those core attitudes and extend them in ways that make them better team players? I'll come back with that. Handing you over to Gary and Peter at this time.
Yeah, and that just come right in, Frank, as we think about the subject matter, essential leadership habits, and as you just looked at individuals, leaders, and how they play to win. In on the same concept, we look to we one of the things that we have individuals to understand where life is concerned. You mentioned that individuals who are climatized in their mind, they have a mindset of solution, and that mindset of solution is one that look at life to say that we look for life not from the concept of the pressures, but the pressures are there, the problems are there, but you look at the problem because the problems are designed to bring solutions. The problems are there. The winning mindset, the individual that is playing to win, they are looking for problems. They are their approach to life is that problems stimulates their creativity. And so we like to empower individuals to understand that when you're going into, and if somebody is looking to generate revenue to make money, then the way how to make money is not just to go and open a business, because businesses, it's it's a means to an end. A business is a means to an end. A business is the middle value. So the middle value is a setup to bring in individuals who have problems, and a businesses are set up to connect individuals who have problems with individuals who have solutions. And so what we love to talk about when we're empowering people is to help them to understand that, and we coin a concept around this factor. It is to discover and resolve the big problem you were born to solve. We like to herald that terminology, and discover and resolve the big problem, not just a problem, but look in the marketplace to find a big problem that you were born to solve. And we also believe that every individual on the earth was born with us with a problem to solve. There was an assignment on every individual's life to solve a problem. And so the challenge in any individual's life is just to resolve, to just to come to an understanding of their big problem, and then their focus, and then they focus on how they're going to do that. So we have a little system that we apply to bring individuals to understand this concept. So we say, yes, number one, look for problems, be intentional about looking for problems, and not just problems. Find the biggest problems there are, because especially if there's an individual who believe that they want to generate revenue into millions and billions of dollars, then it means that you've got to find a problem that is very unique. So find, look, search, hunt for problems. And it is just about seven steps in this. So when you find the problem, then you got to look, and because it is big, you're now going to look for people who have an urgency in their lives to solve that problem. Discover the problem, then find individuals who have a burning desire and urgency to get rid of that problem. And then the third concept is now to repackage that problem as a intellectual property. So create your proprietary rights around that problem. So that problem now, the solution to that problem is it has you have a design, you have a claim, you have a unique proposition where that problem is concerned. So and then now you go to producing. You begin to produce the solution, meaning that you want to maximize, create your systems where you are constantly producing those solutions, and then you want to package it in such a way by which it is appealing to the marketplace, it is attractive, people want to have it, it is grabbing at them, all the connections to it make people understand why they need to have that solution in their lives. And then you are going to promote the heck out of that solution, constantly promoting it and present it in the terms of sales in the marketplace. So let me just go over it again. You're going to focus on problems. Problem. You're going to be a lover of problems, and you are not shy where problems are concerned. You're a problem hunter, and then you're going to hunt people, a massive people who are hungry for the solution to that problem that you have found. Then you produce it, you package it, you promote it, you present it, and hence those are essential habits. If you build those habits into the way how you think, if you build those habits in the way how you see life, if every time you're looking at life and you have that concept toward how the systems around you work, you build those systems into your DNA, your social DNA, you will never be broke another day in your life. Let me just hit it back to Gary right now.
Um, I thanks for that share, Peter. I love the fact that you would have established that the pathways to winning business is to identify the problems. All right. I think the more time you spend to identify the ideal client and to identify the challenges that they are faced with, and you're right, if they're hungry to get those problems fixed, it can really set you up to win. So, great concepts. What I want to also add, because of the fact that, again, we see there are many Pauls and Tom in business. There are many of those who get into business and you take the time to understand how business is done. and you go the extra mile to understand how to really position yourself to be successful. Now, when you want to win in business, there's another concept that I want to share with you. And these concepts that I'm about to share, if you disregard them, you're going to fail. But if you listen and you comply, you're going to win. Now, every successful business is built on the backs of visibility. I talk first of relationships, but I want to speak now about visibility. So you want to win. If you're not visible, you're going to be undermining any potential to win in business. But I really want you to pause a bit and ask yourself, what exactly is visibility? Again, when the average person hears visibility, to some it is an abstract term. And if you are hearing this and it is an abstract term to you, you have already failed. But when you hear visibility and you understand the depths of what visibility really represents, that's what's going to set you up for success, because you are 10 miles beyond the person who only have an abstract interpretation of what visibility means. Now, what exactly is visibility in the context of starting and scaling a business and positioning yourself to win? What is the context of visibility? Or what is visibility in the context of leadership? Let's combine these two. Any attempt to be visible means that you have spent some time to understand mass media. Any attempt to be visible means that you have taken some time to understand social media. Any attempt to be visible means that you have taken some time to understand the metaverse. Any attempt to be visible means that you have also taken some time to understand what is independent communication channel. So let's look at the very first concept, mass media. Mass media represents radio, television, and newspaper. And this communication platform can really set you up to get visibility. For example, you have on television, let's say it might be CNN, let's say it might be Fox News, let's say it might be all of these possibilities. Are you able to build your brand up and, in the first context, build relationships with some of these top platforms that can push your brand out there? It takes time to do this. And Frank just asked the question, not word for word, but why there are those who succeed in business and those who struggle and those who fail? The way you think, the way you apply leadership. My advice is always is to you, these are things that must be done, but if you may not be the trained and skilled persons to do this, you at least need to be certain that you have team players at your strategic, tactical, and operational level of the organization that can help you with this. Because when myself and Frank and Peter, we sit down and we look at the business, we diagnose the business. We know if that business is going to succeed or if that business is going to fail based on these things that we're talking about. So we're going to ask you, what is your visibility game plan? And if you don't have a visibility game plan, there lies a challenge. There's no ifs and buts about it. Peter just talked about problems. That is a problem. You may not be able to solve it for yourself, but guess what? We can solve it for you. And perhaps we can solve this problem for you within budget that will leave a smile on your face. But your business needs visibility. One of the reasons you're going to fail is because you don't understand the visibility ecosystem. Now, when we talk about visibility in the context of mass media, social media, the metaverse, and independent communication channel, we are not saying to you just go put your content on these platforms, because simply just putting out your information content on these platforms is not going to set you up to win. You need to work with the expert that can really set you up in way. Now, first of all, when we're talking here about visibility to win in business, whoever is preparing your advertising content, the advertising copywriter, they should take the time to understand who the content is being appealed to, being designed or developed to appeal to. The advertising copywriters just don't sit and develop advertising content because they can do it. They're developing advertising content because it makes sense. And if your advertising copywriter who's helping you to gain visibility is not focusing on this, there lies a problem. Peter just spoke about problem. And that problem needs to be fixed because guess what? Someone who calls themselves an advertising copywriter may produce the content to help you to get visibility, but then the content doesn't appeal to your ideal client. And what happens? When the content is produced, the content is placed into mass media or social media or the metaverse or independent communication channel. But guess what? It doesn't really appeal to the ideal client because the advertising copywriter didn't take the time to understand psychographics.
Mhm.
They didn't take the time to understand who the ad is being produced to appeal to. What are the interests of the ideal client? None of that was looked at. So guess what? You lose an opportunity to appeal to the ideal client, to command attention, pique interest, arouse desire, and move the client into action. That's a lost opportunity.
Mhm.
And just let me give you a sneak peek into how this works. You see, as an advertising copywriter, the ad is not being produced for you. Even you, the company owner, if the company owners don't understand psychographics, that ad is not being produced for you neither. Whether you understand it or don't understand it, the ad is not being produced for you. The ad is being produced to achieve an objective, and that's appeal to the ideal client. So whoever is producing the ad, they need to take the time to ask themselves, what are the trigger points of the ideal client? What helps them to feel joy and happiness and excitement? So the advertising copywriter, you have to ask this, and you have to go get the information, and you have to now incorporate that information into the advertising copywriting. So for example, if you can say that your audience love American football or your audience love cricket, all right, if you have done the diagnostic and you know that they like these sports, would it make sense to incorporate something about American football or cricket into that ad? Do you think it's going to arouse an interest? Yes, it will. And that's what you need. You want to pull them in so they're able to receive the information that you're communicating. And here is where you're going to be able to assess the effectiveness of visibility. So when we talk of visibility, there's a number of moving parts. The reason you're going to fail is one, you don't have the money for visibility. And two, even when you have the money for visibility, you're going about it in the wrong way. So your monies are being wasted in this regard. And that's the last thing that you want to actually do. So I want you to really focus on this. If you want to win, when you want to win in business, you need visibility. But then there's a right and there's a wrong way in how you set yourself up to attain visibility.
Mhm.
All right? There's a right and wrong way. So I've just given you a high level overview here. And of course, if you need support in this regard, I want to encourage you to reach out to us. I want you to pause a bit and ask yourself, do you have leadership when it comes to your brand visibility? And Frank will talk to you about the importance of leadership. But leadership is so important to every aspect of your business that if you're lacking in leadership, you're going to fail. You're going to fail. All right, so I'm going to pass control back to Frank, and then we're going to come back to Peter. All to you, Frank.
All right, thanks. So we had looked at core. We said that established that winners never complain, always challenge themselves. We said that they are the first to own projects, take responsibility for their actions, and never try to weasel out of their responsibility by making excuses. And then the question is asked, so how do winners take these core attitudes and extend them in ways that make them better team players? And so we're going to play around with the word play, and the P in play stands for politics. What is our first thought when someone mentions politics? Deceit, manipulation, lies. Winners don't play the game of politics. Rather, they expose politics within the organization, recognizing how devastating it can be to a company culture. Winners hold each other to a high standard, and that standard allows for reward that is not earned. The L in play stands for loyalty. Winners are loyal to each other. They respect the work ethic and value system of other great players, and they give of themselves to the team in good times and bad. The experience suggests that you rarely see a person's true character in good times, but let things get difficult and then look around to see who stayed in the boat. The A in play stands for accountable or accountability. One of the things I have noticed that is different in sports than it is in business is relentless. Accountability among peers. On the sports team, when one player is weak, the rest of the players are unrelenting in their disgust over the individual's performance or behavior. Oftentimes, the entire team experiences retribution from coaches as a result of a single individual's failure. Now, while this may be extreme, it does establish accountability among players. Should the business environment be any different? Is it ever okay for one member of the team to not be performing at 100%? The Y in play stands for yield. The old saying goes, don't confuse effort with results. A team can have the best individual members, but not play the game as well as another. This is code for they don't win. Yielding a result is what matters, and winning teams yield one result over any other, they win. To play well at anything demands that the interactions between players creates an environment where 1 + 1 = 3. In part, this is achieved by building a culture that's devoid of politics, with loyalty among team members who feel accountable to each other and collectively driven to yield winning results. So when we bring it together with play, core play, business and sports share many similarities. In both cases, winning is in part about having great individuals and great teamwork. Building such an environment demands meticulous development of one's core while recognizing that playing to win means you must play well with others. And how do you play to win? Over to you, Gary.
All right, thanks for that share, Frank. You mentioned early on the core, some of the core elements, and I love how you expanded on it. You know, core means complaint and challenges. It represents ownership. It represents responsibility. I love that you went into all of that early on, and loved your last presentation. I want to add a few more things. You know, when you want to win in business, it's important to recognize everything that we're talking about. You're learning a lot about leadership style. And what I want to say is a couple of things, because we're talking also about leadership processes and systems. To be successful in business, you must have leadership in relationships. You must have leadership in visibility, leadership in everything that Frank would have talked about. As you begin to develop these leadership systems, they become what we call standard operating procedures.
Mhm.
So when I talk about leadership in relationship, and I'm going to be brief here because I know I have to come to Peter, I will expand on this when I come back, is how do we take the leadership and how do we make them processes? How do we make them into standard operating procedure? And those businesses who are successful, believe me, they really understand this. And if you want to be successful, you want to be win, you need to ask yourself, what are those core leadership tenets that the business has and how to effectively deploy them. So I'm going to pause here now and I'm going to turn to Peter to give your share. Peter, all to you.
Yeah, Gary, and I'm just gonna ride from what you mentioned a while ago about developing standard operating procedures, because there is a standard operating procedures that individuals can follow for discovering and finding resolve to the big problems that they were called to solve. They're what we call the four matrix. There are four matrices for problem solution discovery. And when we look in the marketplace, every problem in the marketplace can be classified under four categories. Every problem, no matter what they are, they can be categorized under four categories. Every problem in the marketplace will come under either health. It's a health problem, or it is a wealth problem, or it is a relationship problem, or it is an appointment problem. So if you're looking for big problems to solve, look in the area of health, look in the area of wealth, look in the area of relationships, look in the area of appointments or the management or the application of time as it relates to our responsibilities. Then you can look, all right, so let us now just pick health. Let us break health down. Any individual, because now remember we say that you are solving problems and you're looking for people who have a big problem, and then you're looking for enough people with a burning desire to solve this problem. So let's break down in health. So when you look in the matrix of health, health is spiritual health. So a person who has pastoral inclination, then that is their domain. Under health, you have psychological health. Under health, you have biological health. You have individuals, personal health. You have social health, the health of a society. You have financial health, and you have environmental health. And that matrix can be repeated in the area of wealth. You have spiritual wealth, you have psychological wealth, you have biological wealth, you have relational wealth, you have social wealth, you have environmental wealth. Matrix number four, relationship. Relationship is spiritual. Relationship is psychological. Relationship is biological. Relationship is relational. Relationship is personal, social, environmental. And then the last matrix of appointments. If you're going to have a problem in anywhere in your life, it is going to, you have to take time to make appointments for your spiritual need, make appointments for your psychological needs, make appointments for your biological needs, make appointments for your relational needs, make appointments for your environmental needs. So within this matrix, an individual can categorize and see now the skill sets that I have, how, which of these areas can I fit my skill set and find individuals with problems that match my skill set, that they have a passion to have it solved, and you can now build your proprietary knowledge, your proprietary expertise. You can now build your intellectual property around a solution, and you deliver it to the person who is have a burning need to solve that. We can speak some more when we come back.
Wow. I must say I'm so touched by how you break all of that down. Whatever you're doing in this particular regard, I want you to keep doing it because I love it.
Hmm.
And let's work on this for our Saturdays and discussion. I really, really love this. This is music to my ears, and that is literally no, it is. It is. And this is it. I love it.
Hmm.
All right, really love that. Don't lose that trend. Keep it. Let's expand on it. I love you went into spiritual, well-being, emotional and psychological well-being, and the biological issue. I know when you talk about the biological, you're talking about the physiology and how we treat that. It's very deep subject matter. And I do believe sometimes as you set yourself up to win in business and in life, sometimes those are things that you don't really pay close attention to.
Mm-hmm.
And we all understand what happened to the great Steve Jobs. I call it the Steve Jobs saga.
Yeah.
He positioned himself to be one of the wealthiest people in the world, one of the smartest minds. And, he went too soon because
Mm-hmm.
physiologically, there were some issues there. Perhaps if there was enough attention being placed on that, we'd have still had the Steve Jobs and today. Great share. Now, as promised, what we are talking about here are essential elements that one needs to understand when you want to be successful in business. And very often, to arrive at these essential, it requires leadership skills. Because a lot of what we do, you either have to study it academically or you have to research them. Regardless of which one, it requires a certain degree of leadership, discipline, commitment to ascertain the body of information. An essential part of the equation here also is not just the learning and the researching and the studying, it's the testing and getting the results. And a large part of what we do here is to also test systems to ensure that this is working the way it's supposed to be working. So when you hear me talk about the importance of relationship, it's not just a thesis in isolation of being tested, they are tested. And we see the results of all of this. And we have spent years building relationships with influencers and business leaders across the world. We have spent years building relationship with financial institutions. Why? Because we want to provide a comprehensive service to our community. So any one of our clients who is going to want to start a business, we can help you with that process, but we can also help you to access capital and integrate your business globally because of the global network that we have built out. But it takes leadership to make all of this happen. Now, let us look at leadership in the context of relationship. As you focus on relationship, you want to ask yourself, what are the standard operating procedures for relationship? because there must be a standard operating procedure for this. The reason you want a standard operating procedure is because you have standards, and because you have certain standards in how you deliver a content of information, you can hold yourself accountable, you can hold others accountable. You can also set yourself up to repeat the process. You need to have standards. So it's not like you're doing it today this way and tomorrow you do it another way, and then the next week you can't remember what you did. So you have, because there is no standard operating procedures. So whatever you're doing, there must be standards in how it is being executed. And that's why we call leadership is the things that you need to do. The processes is how they should be done. And the systems now is where you have built out your way of doing things in a manner where you have transparency. So because you have transparency in how you go about building relationship, everyone in your department knows exactly how to go about doing it. Or you have transparency, you have accountability, you have scalability, you have transferability, you have all of these things that are working for you. All right, to win in business is not accidental, it's not incidental, it's not speculation. You need to have a clear mental picture in terms of how to hold yourself accountable to executing a particular process in a particular way. And that's what's going to cause you to win. This is success leaf clues. And I think that very often when the average person is looking for success, they're looking sometimes for simple things. Yes, sometimes success could be very simple, but success, the clues that it is leaving can be very complex. And in cases like that, you need to work with a professional to help you to accomplish that. And let me give an example. All right, to make a cake might be a very simple process. All right, a very simple process. But the process of building a house is going to be totally different. That's going to be more complex because you have to understand foundation. You have to understand, the weight that is going to be good on that foundation, because the foundation must equal the weight. So there's so much of moving parts in to understand the process to house building as against the cake baking. So in cases where we're looking at complex processes, it is my advice to get a mentor, to get a coach, to get your supportive community, to get your sponsors that can really help you to navigate this process. I'm seeing many rising stars in business. You start a business and you struggle with your processes for decades. The reason we are hosting these programs is because we want to provide you with information that prevents you from struggling for decades. And, many of us, when we started the business, there wasn't instant gratification. We too went through the struggle, but we learned pretty fast how to navigate that. Now that we have learned, we have packaged this body of knowledge to really help you how to leapfrog your growth and come much earlier to the point where you can say you're successful. But if you don't have the information that we're talking about, we know for sure that you can struggle. The business that has visibility and know how to position themselves to get visibility is going to be more successful than that operation that may don't know how to attain visibility. You may have the capital and still not be successful in how you position your brand to be visible, because there are many moving parts, and because you didn't take the time to understand the process. You don't have perhaps the subject matter expert with you to navigate the process. You go through challenges, and we want to help where that's concerned. So with that being said, I trust that today you understand a little bit more about what is leadership. And leadership is, how you apply yourself at relationship. Leadership is how you apply yourself at visibility. Leadership is how you apply yourself at innovation. It's leadership. But you want to make these things processes. Once you would have tested them and they are working the way you want them to work, create standard operating procedures against that around them, and then build your systems around them. Systems means something. And if you follow in any of my programs, you want to systemize your processes, because that's what helps it to be transparent. You can hold yourself accountable. You can be consistent. You can scale your processes. You can transform the body of knowledge. So much more. All right, so I'm going to pause here for now. Frank, all to you. I'm not hearing you, Frank.
Hear me now?
Yeah, I'm hearing you now.
We talk about playing to win, and I would be specific to win as a leader, which embodies that mindset. It all starts from your mind, people, and it approach that focus on achieving the highest possible outcomes, driving your organizational success. The key aspects are, closing up on this, is setting ambitious goals. You see, in leadership, you have to be a visionary thinker. Got to be the leader who play to win, in that you have a clear and compelling vision for the future. You need to set ambitious yet achievable goals that inspire and motivate your team. You have to set high standards, aim for excellence. You know, the kind of leaders are not satisfied with mediocrity, because it involves pushing boundaries and striving for continuous improvement. Then, of course, you have to plan strategically. You have to have data-driven decisions, long-term focus. Then you need to have that motivating power in which you empower the team. And how do you do that? By delegation and trust, by developing their skills. You need to have that resilience and adaptability. How do you handle setbacks? Are you agile enough? Because agility is where the leader fosters that culture, being able to move from one position to the next within the team, encouraging quick decision making and responsiveness to the market changes. Of course, you have to have accountability and ownership, which I've said in the core value. Responsible leaders must be I lose my train of thought there. Responsibility we're talking about, where you take full ownership of the decisions and the outcomes of those decisions. You know, so you hold yourself as a leader, you hold the team accountable for achieving goals, and of course there must be transparency. So you maintain that open and honest communication, ensuring that everyone is aligned and aware of what their roles and responsibilities are. There's innovation and creativity. There's customer-centric approach. Do you understand the needs of the customers? Is there a feedback loop? And of course, when we talk about leader, we're talking about ethics. Are you an ethical leader? Is there integrity? And leaders who play it to win have to do so with integrity, because they have to ensure that their actions and decisions are ethical and uphold the values of the organization. They need to be role models, set a positive example for the team, demonstrating that kind of behavior and attitude that they expect from others. And of course, there's collaboration and teamwork. So the leader will have to start fostering collaboration, in encouraging that kind of community togetherness and teamwork across the teams, whether they be good in the middle or bad. You need to be cohesive in the way they cause the team to operate across departments. They need to break down those silos and promote a unified approach to achieving goals. In other words, there must be inclusivity, value diverse perspectives, and create an inclusive environment where all team members feel valued and heard. So, by embodying these principles, the leaders who play to win not only drive their organizations to achieve exceptional results, but they also create a positive and an empowering and innovative workplace culture. Thank you, Gary.
Great share, Frank. I love that you mentioned the term visionary leaders, visionary leadership. And as you mentioned that, what came to mind is that I think that there is a need for what I will call a visionary leader or leadership incubator. Because I know the kind of visionary leaders that you're talking about,
Mm,
Frank. I
mm,
mean, in the context of business,
mm.
do we have an incubator that is really nurturing and training the next top 100 companies?
Oh yeah,
You know, you're really training companies to start thinking how to become the top 100 players in business.
beautiful.
And, you know, there is a need for that type of incubation.
Mm,
And I think it is necessary um, to look at those kind of stuff because there are so many moving parts to optimize a business success, and really spending time to understand the core elements of what is visionary leadership is vital. So, Frank, I will challenge you. Perhaps the next book that we're going to be looking at is going to be Visionary Leadership Incubator. And perhaps next week, go ahead, Frank. I know you want to say something.
Already in the catalyst leadership.
Awesome. Awesome. We need to start doing some of those conversation, how we can, you know, inspire the top 100 companies. Because, you know, in the US, what we are able to do now is to really help rising stars in business to access capital. So regardless of where businesses are at in the US, 50 states, we can help you access business credit, debt and equity and credit and creative financing. So if we're offering you business and we have great leaders like Frank that can really help you to expand the way you see leadership, we have great players that can really help you to understand, you know, how to start and scale that business in a short period of time. Why not? How to integrate your operation globally. So, Frank, I've taken some notes here. Perhaps next week we can expand
mm.
on what does it takes to, you know, start and scale, you know, a top 100 company. Of course, we know it will take time, 5, 10, 15, 20 years to make that happen. But the important thing here is starting with that vision in mind. You can start small, but how we can take practical step to really scale it up to that major, you know, operation. Again, I want to come back to leadership is what's going to set you up for success. Your processes is what's going to set you up for success, and your systems. Uh, these are broad topic areas for us to continue to dive into. I really ensure that the public get, you know, a general knowledge of the concepts and the context in which we are talking. And so, to recap, as I prepare to conclude, I'm going to ask Frank to do his wrap up. I'm going to ask Peter to do his wrap up. If Frank, in your wrap up, I would love to hear something about your book, Sung Business Leadership. But I'm going to come to you just now. So let me quickly cover some of what we looked at today. We talk about the importance of relationship. It's a pause a bit and act and star in business. Do you have the relationship with the critical state? Do you have relationship with the work, the right relationship? Do you have relationship with the ideal client? You need that. Do you have relationship with external stakeholders, such as perhaps trade associations? You know, in the US, you have the SBA and Small Business Administration. Having that type of relationship with these critical stakeholders, there are a lot of opportunities that are open for you. And do you have relationship with essential government agency? This has to be an essential part of your corporate culture, fostering these type of relationships. Do you have relationship with bankers and financial institutions? In our ecosystem, we have bankers, we have financial specialists. And so by just connecting with one of us, connecting with us, we can open up so much of opportunities for you to foster these type of relationships that is so essential to move your vision forward. All right. To do your business, you might want a nice piece of real estate. We have real estate investors and real estate agents in our community. So relationships is something that you rise and fall on. You're gonna fail if you have relationships, but perhaps the wrong relationships, not giving you the right incentive, and you're going to be successful when you're invested in nurturing the right relationship with the right players, the essential stakeholders. So I just want to emphasize this. All right, foster healthy relationship. The next concept that I would have spoken about early on is that you need to make budgetary allocation for to enhance your visibility. It doesn't make sense to be a top-notch, executive coach, a top-notch leader, but then you're the best kept secret. Doesn't make sense. The reason you are top in your field is because you are now in a position of strength to add value and fix problems. But if no one knows you are capable of doing this, you are the best kept secret. And that happened because you're not visible. So, to talk about visibility, also, we have a very unique program which we call the GIP Initiative. And the GIP Initiative stands for the Global Influencers Partners Program. This is a beautiful program that really helps you to understand the fastest way to cash flow your business and your brand. And it really carries you into a number of strategies and systems and processes that can really position you to become an influencer. We train you how to position your brand on platforms where you have billions of consumers. So becoming visible here is really going to set you up to be successful. So I'm going to pause here for now. I know Frank would have covered a number of other issues, but I know in his closing remarks, he's going to recap on that. And Peter also made a number of points. So let me start with Peter first of all. And Peter,
Yeah.
your closing thoughts on what we looked at today. All to you, Peter.
And I'm really looking forward to in that for that leadership incubator that Frank
Mm-hmm.
is developing, because leaders are so essential at every level and strata of society, but even more so concerned about the next generation. And if we can create that vacuum, that place where the next generation can be trained and their minds can be molded to take on, the world that is ahead of us. I'm really looking for that catalyst leaders that Frank has proposed a while ago. But in my wrap up right now, we just want to reiterate that we're looking at and we want individuals to discover and resolve the big problem, right? Discover and resolve the big problem. We look into our community today, look in the world, just watch the television, look at the news. A lot of big problems is in the marketplace, and a lot of big problems are in the marketplace because people tend to shy away from big problems. But big problems also means big opportunity and big return on investment. So we want individuals to, in that process, what we're encouraging individuals to do is to apply the 8 P's of problem solution discovery. 8 P's. And I mentioned, yes, think problem, think people, think proprietary rights, think production, think packaging, think promotion, think presentation, think propagation, and think plan which is going to recycle that whole process. And then we talk about the four matrix, or the four matrices for problem, solution, discovery. And within that, the four matrices is health, wealth, relationships, and appointments, and how those four matrices interrelate with each other. The final item that we want to talk about, now that you have the big problem that you have.
Peter, not cutting you.
Mhm.
Health, wealth, relationship, and the last one as well.
Appointments. You have to make time. So it's appointment.
Okay.
Right. So within this.
Yeah, all to you. All to you.
Right. So now, how do we make that presentation of the big problem that we were born to solve? How do we position ourselves to really be that individual that will be recognized, as Gary say, visibility? How do you present yourself as that individual that the market must pay attention to, as the one who has the solution to the big problem? What we have is what now we call the CAP formula. The CAP formula. We only discovered the terminology, but we have discovered that the CAP formula is what is used by every recognized individual in the marketplace, whether it is Steve Jobs, whether it is Oprah, whether it is Bill Gates, Tony Robbins, the late Miles Monroe. All these individuals, they all use the CAP formula to gain recognition in the community. So what is the CAP formula? The CAP formula, it is CCAPP, and it represents consultant, coach, author, publisher, and public speaker. Those five those five concepts, when individuals can apply them, because what will have to happen for you to market yourself, you have to position yourself as an authority in the marketplace. And one of the fastest ways how you can position yourself as an authority is to be recognized as a consultant on that is why we mentioned you need to have your proprietary rights. You need to have a body of information that is unique to you. So when you have that body of information that is unique to you, then you now can step out as a consultant with that body of information. And individual, because your body of information, your solution to the big problem is unique, people will pay attention to you as you begin to offer advice as a consultant. How did Steve Jobs, being recognized for even at various levels of his, bringing these various solutions to the marketplace? He presented himself as a consultant. He presented himself and he stepped out in one of his platforms and he said, 1,000 songs in your pocket. And the world has not been the same since then. And because of that, he presented himself as in people's lives as the coach for technology, where every year he has a session and he is coaching people how to use his intellectual property. And people every year will line up just to take his gadgets and his widgets in the marketplace. He might not have written a book, but because of his position, books have been written about him. Everybody wants to write. So he, even though he himself has not written a book, but he is still recognized as an author, because I believe an author represents authority in the marketplace. He was a publisher. He might not have published anything, but you have people constantly, because of his authority in the marketplace, people are constantly publishing news and recognition about him. And most naturally, he was a master speaker, a professional master speaker. he spoke. And everybody knows that speaking is one of the top way by which it represents the highest paid profession, public speaking. So within this, becoming a consultant, identify as a consultant. Oprah has mastered this. Um, Dr. Phil now has mastered this, as is his profession is. A coach, because when you have positioned yourself as a consultant, there are certain people who will be connecting to you and they want more of what you have to offer. Now you can create packages, digital packages. You can take your proprietary knowledge and you can dissect it into courses. You can dissect it into books. You can dissect it into seminars. You can dissect it into conferences, summits. And you are the person who is the recognized individual, connecting with people, giving them that bit of information that is going to solve the big problem that is burning in their life. So these concepts, put these three concepts together: the 8 P's of problem solution discovery, the four matrices of problem solution discovery, and the CAP formula together. You have positioned yourself as a leader in the marketplace. You are playing in the marketplace. You are playing to win, and you have developed essential habits that will set you in the marketplace, and you will be remembered long after you're gone. You will be leaving your legacy, just like Steve Jobs and those persons who have positioned themselves. Back to you, Gary.
All right, thanks for your share, Peter. Frank, your closing thoughts, and tell us a little bit about your book also.
A closing thoughts is all about, and it will be intertwined with my book on sound business leadership. But I want to share why the book is beneficial for entrepreneurs, because it involves a blend of strategic thinking, operational excellence, and interpersonal skills. And some of the key components that define effective leadership for the entrepreneurs, such as the vision and strategic planning, their adaptability and innovation. It speaks to your financial acumen, how to build a strong team, how to have an effective communication system, how to be customer centric in your approach in your business. It speaks to the resilience and persistence of a sound leader. And of course, it tells you that you need to be ethical, and how to network and build relationships through networking, and how to operate in excellence. And finally, the book speaks to the entrepreneur on how to focus on growth and scalability. So when you, as the entrepreneur, read the book, it will be showing you how the integration of the principles into your leadership approach can build a robust, can build a sustainable business that is well positioned for long-term success. Thank you.
Thanks for that share, Frank. I can't wait to hear more about, visionary leadership incubator. It is necessary in the world today, across the world. And that is a book that I would definitely be looking forward to, and some more conversation around that we can definitely put into the hands of our community. So there you had it, the public. Today we talk about how to play the game to win the game in business, and we talk about leadership, we talk about processes, and we talk about systems, all of which you need to learn, apply, and master when you want to win in business. In conclusion, I want to say this. I want to thank our audience. Today we broadcast from the bestseller portal, And we also broadcast from LinkedIn and one of our Facebook channels. I want to thank our audience. Scott, today we have reached over 50 countries, and we have over 50,000 subscribers who have subscribed to two of our platforms. I want to thank you from the depths of my heart for supporting this platform. The best is yet to come, and so I want to encourage you to like, subscribe, and share, so you'll be the first to get these content that we will bring to you on a regular basis. I want to thank my team and Peter Gore Scott for sharing with us today. I would love perhaps next week we can go a little deeper into Matrix 4. I think you're onto something that is beautiful here that talks about health, wealth, relationship, and appointment. We will talk some more about that next week. And of course, next week we can talk some more about, what it really takes to be a visionary leader, what an incubator can do to nurture visionary leader, and what are some of the best practices of top 100 companies. So at the end of the day, we want to inspire you in business. Access to capital should not be a problem. Why? Because with us, we can set you up to access capital. The beauty about working with us is that we can help you access capital with no collateral, non-collateralized loan, and also capital at 0% APR. So when you're ready, really ready and serious to move your business forward anywhere in the US, we can set you up to make great things happen in your business. All right, we have a strong marketing and research team that is going to ensure that you have all the information that you need to be successful. So do have a great weekend ahead of you guys, and we do this again on Monday. Be blessed.
Father's Day.